Jesus is the light of the world. Prove me wrong. If Jesus isn't God, then why does he call himself the light of the world, when the Bible says only God is light? From Genesis to Revelation, light represents God's presence, power, and truth. So why does Jesus take this title? Skeptics, can you explain this? The temple courtyard was crowded. It was the Feast of Tabernacles, one of the most celebrated festivals in Israel. Golden lampstands, towering high above the people, were lit in the temple courts. Their flames shone brightly, symbolizing the presence of God's guiding light, just as he had led Israel in a pillar of fire through the wilderness. And then, in the midst of the celebration, Jesus stood and declared, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." The crowd fell silent. The Pharisees' eyes narrowed. Did he just say what they thought he said? God alone is light. For centuries, the people of Israel knew one truth: God alone is light. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalm 27:1. God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. 1 John 1:5. From the very beginning, light represented God's presence. "Let there be light," God commanded at creation, and darkness fled. The pillar of fire guided Israel through the night. The glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle with unapproachable light. The Pharisees knew all this. Yet here was Jesus standing in the temple, claiming to be that very light. The Pharisees' challenge. The religious leaders couldn't stay silent. "You are testifying about yourself. Your testimony is not valid," they accused. Jesus turned to them, his voice steady. "Even if I testify about myself, my testimony is true because I know where I came from and where I am going, but you do not know where I come from or where I am going." The Pharisees whispered among themselves, "Who does he think he is? Only God is light. No prophet has ever spoken like this." But Jesus wasn't finished. "You judge by human standards, but I do not judge anyone. And yet if I do judge, my judgment is true because I am not alone. I stand with the Father who sent me." The weight of his words filled the air. Jesus wasn't just claiming to bring light, he was claiming to be the very source of it. Jesus proves his authority. Throughout his ministry, Jesus didn't just claim to be the light, he proved it. When a man born blind sat in darkness, Jesus touched his eyes, and light flooded in. "I am the light of the world," Jesus had said before healing him. And the man saw, for the first time in his life. At the Mount of Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John saw Jesus' face shine like the sun, his garments radiating light. And on the road to Damascus, when Saul, the persecutor of Christians, met Jesus, a blinding light from heaven knocked him to the ground. No prophet ever called himself the light of the world. No teacher ever radiated light from within. Yet Jesus did. And the Pharisees knew exactly what this meant. The challenge to skeptics. Here's the challenge. If Jesus isn't God, explain this. The Old Testament is clear: God alone is light. The Lord wraps himself in light as with a garment. Psalm 104:2. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 60:1. Yet Jesus says, "I am the light of the world." Not I bring light, not God has given me light, but I am the light. So, if Jesus isn't God, prove me wrong. Closing and call to action. Jesus isn't just a guide, he is the light of the world. The question is, are you following him? If you believe Jesus is God, type "Jesus is Lord" in the comments. If you don't, explain this passage. For more powerful Bible truths, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Jesus is the light. What will you do with that truth?